Greetings, ladies and mentalgets, and welcome to this latest episode of Tales from Outer Space, where I take a space-related story from around the internet and read it out loud for your enjoyment. All the relevant links are down below. Please don't forget to do the usual YouTube gumph, because if you don't, the nanite swarms will steal your other sock. But more importantly, as always, I hope that you enjoy. I'd quickly like to thank the following Tier 5 patrons and channel members for supporting the channel: Datamagnet and Bob the Dragon. Thank you very much. Story number 1. Cruise Crash, written by Bellymaster. Andrew worked full-time on a pleasure cruise ship. Gorgeous views, exotic locales, and tourists. Delicious, if sometimes wickedy food. The pay was decent, but the hours more than made up for it. Apparently, 4 hours of work per day was considered towing the line of ethical treatment within this company's policies. Swing music played in the background, one of his favorite playlists. He chuckled and scrubbed the dishes. Big, small, multifaceted and crystalline, they varied with the races that requested them, apparently. It was a hard job to juggle how to wash all the various types. He just tapped the instructions beside the window. Too easy. The automatic scrubbing machines hummed and jangled, dancing to their own tune. Andrew looked out the window at the local oceans and smiled. Bright yellow and green with splashes of purple corals. It was one of his favorite routes. Reminded him of the oceans he grew up beside. Sadly, a lot of the alien planets hadn't discovered surfing. His boss stumped in behind him, her nervous grunting giving her away. "Andrew, darling, you didn't take your break again. Please rest. I don't want my best dishwasher to drop from exhaustion." She looked at him, genuinely concerned. Jahan, she was actually quite fast for one of her race. Hard-shelled and wide-eyed. She looked like a tortoise. Sort of. No, not really. Andrew bobbed back and forth with the music keeping washing. "I'm going to work through the break again, ma'am. I'm in the zone, you know." If his boss had a lump, she would be biting on it. "I don't want you to get worn out. Besides, she looked around guiltily. "The other staff are saying that I'm overworking you. I might get reported." Andrew paused and looked mock horror on his face. With a flourish, he wiped off his bandana and wiped his hands. "Ma'am, I think I'll be taking my break now. Extra long." The homely Jahan sighed in relief. "Thank you, Andrew. You're a lifesaver." Andrew walked out of his washing station, wiping his head and exclaiming loudly, "Oh man, I guess I'll take my break now. What a job." His co-workers in the kitchen were a great bunch, but far too sensitive. A few looked at him with pity. "Oh, she just works you to the bone. Really, you should send a complaint. It's unethical." His abdomen almost cramped as he tried to keep from laughing. "Don't worry, we humans are a hardy bunch." He gave his chest a thump. They winced as he walked out. "I hate it when he does that. Really, it's unethical." Andrew navigated through the bumbling hordes of tourists on the flow-flying open-air cruise ship. Chatter, footsteps, clattering dishes from the kitchens. He walked in step to the music. 8 decks, full anemones, performance every night. He'd been working on the ship for 6 months and still hadn't seen everything. The dishwasher flipped his bandana onto his shoulder and leaned against the railing on the outside deck. Various races were sunning themselves, photosynthesizing, and generally having a good time. Light fell on his white shirt and reflected off the decks, causing him to squint out at the view. Bright pink clouds, vast yellow-green oceans, and spotty islands in the water greeted him. Animals flitted and fluttered around the ship, feeding off of its resonant energy and the scraps left by patrons. One of the tiny bug birds landed on his shoulder and pecked at him. Andrew poked it back. Suddenly, the ship's butter-smooth cruise began to shudder. Andrew's eyes grew wide, and he gripped the rail. A warning siren went off. What's going on? Somebody turn that off. It's annoying. Hate the song. The ship dropped, not deadly fast, but enough to make his stomach lurch. At least 6 tourists around him ejected their meals all over the ground. Andrew clung tight to the rail and grabbed a nearby wyvern that looked like it was about to fly off the edge. Screams filled the air. I do not enjoy this at all. No, make it stop, Fall back, protect me. With a crash that honestly was not that bad, the cruise ship met the yellow-green seas. Andrew froze, expecting something worse to follow up. And that was it. Apparently the surface tension wasn't nearly as bad as normal water, and the ship's gravity pull let up in the last moments. Within swimming distance was a series of islands that were a lot bigger up close. He let go of the wyvern and double-checked the customers within sight. They were still, then began moving and yelling. Cries, indignant remarks, and demands for a refund echoed around the ship. Andrew muttered to himself, Yeah, of course this happens on my break. He immediately set off to the bridge. 2 levels later, and he was behind a crowd shouting questions at the captain, who was backpedaling furiously and turning a rather embarrassed color. The captain received their barrage of questions before erupting with a shout. I don't know what to do. The company never ran over rescue protocols. They claimed the ships would never fail. I'm just a figurehead. The room fell silent as the outcome of the situation fell on them. Andrew scrunched up his eyebrows and began gently nudging his way through the crowd to the captain. All around him, terrified customers began muttering. There were a few precious moments left before panic set in. Finally, he was close enough. Hey, what's the safety protocol? The captain stared at him blankly. All the customers turned to look at the human with the white shirt, red bandana, and blue jeans. Don't crash the ship? Andrew climbed up to where the captain was standing. Well, that sucks. Seriously though, we should be fine. The ship was built to support everyone anyway, right? Can't we just finish the cruise like this? One of the customers pointed out the window. Hey, I think we're sinking. The crowd erupted. Andrew slammed his palm on the metal wall several times for attention. The captain covered his delicate ears. Hey, hi, hello. He had their attention again, but not for long. Geez, you guys, calm down. It's not a big deal. Let's just get everyone from the ship onto the islands over there. The captain looked at him. How do we do that? Andrew had no idea. He snatched the captain's hat and put it on. I have an idea. Who can swim? Who can fly? A few motions of affirmation came from the members in the crowd. If you can swim, get out there into the water and see if we're really sinking. If you can fly, go measure the distance from the front of the ship to the shore. I want you back here in 15 minutes. The rest of you chill out. We'll take care of it. 4 hours later, panels from the ship formed a floating bridge between the ship and the islands. By taking advantage of the safety equipment on the ship, which there absolutely was, Andrew just had to find it himself. And the surface tension of the waters, the tourists were all able to make it across the water. After transferring the customers, the ship lightened enough to the point where the residential mechanics could make spot fixes on the failed magnetic repulsor, allowing the ship to fly again. 2 days later, when the ship didn't show up at the port and search teams were sent out, they found the ship snug up on one of the islands and all their customers on the beach. Rice, food, and music filled the air as the customers enjoyed their impromptu premium island excursion. The safety officer landed beside the festivities. What happened? What's going on? This isn't approved. The old captain marched up. The ship crashed. We had to evacuate, troubleshoot, and fix the cruise ship. Also, I quit. The officer did a double take. Wait, you can't just... But how did you do all this? The captain pointed down the beach to the makeshift kitchen area. A human wearing his hat and dancing around to swing music with the Jahan while washing dishes. You gave him the symbol of your authority. No. He took it. I sure didn't know what to do with it. No thanks to you. The security officer brushed off the remark. Who is he? He's calling himself Captain Cook, but I think he's just the dishwasher. End of story. Story number 2. They see themselves. Written by _____________. Their actions were always a curiosity, and at first the strange behavior of an individual lonely ones was chalked up to their long lifespans and the state of their technology. A people whose technology and knowledge effectively made them magical or divine to less advanced people were bound to view the cosmos and act in a peculiar manner. But the stories only grew stranger as the lonely inspired interacted and traveled amongst the lonely ones. A group of planetary scientists that had named their disposable drones and given them unique decorations and proceeded to go above and beyond necessary effort to retrieve said drones. Said disposable drones. During the first joint military exercise between the Lonely Ones and the Lonely Inspiration, one of the former's vessels lost an animal planetside. The animal in question was a feline, and easy enough to replace. However, the entire crew, not just the ground component of the vessel, nearly 2,000 individuals, organized a search and rescue that dwarfed any search of a missing person the Inspired had performed. A monolithic undertaking to successfully rescue a feline named Sammy Oscar. When questioned about the massive expenditure of resources, the Inspired were informed that the ship could not sail without its cat. That reasoning confounded one particular researcher, one who, despite her lame right arm, had become one of the prominent authorities on Lonely One's culture and philosophy. Why were felines important? Why were disposable drones worth saving and restoring? She wanted to attribute it to some sort of idol worship. They had an immense fascination with felines in particular, especially their more ancient civilizations. But that didn't explain the drones. This confounded her for years, until she was eating lunch and saw a face in her potatoes. It wasn't that they saw cute and cuddly things. It wasn't that they saw faces and shapes in inanimate objects. No, the Lonely Ones took it farther. They saw themselves in those same objects and beings. Sammy Oscar was important because the crew projected the same friendship and camaraderie that they had onto the feline, whether or not it was sentient enough to feel such things. The drone, named Sharky 2, had to be recovered and restored because its operators considered it a full-fledged member of their team, even if that meant going into hostile locations to fetch it, the very thing it was designed to prevent. That was why they could relate to everyone within the Lonely Inspired. They could see themselves, or at least being equal to themselves, in everything and everyone. They even had a phrase for it: anthropomorphism. End of story. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you do, please consider supporting the author, even by popping over and leaving a thumbs up or a nice comment, just to show your appreciation for the story. However, if you wish to support this channel, there are links down below which will help immensely. I will see you all in the next one, and until then, I hope that you have a fantastic day. Cheers.